Hello and welcome into another edition of the Arizona State Sun Devils Insider Podcast. My name is Kevin Hicks and I'm your lead beat writer for the Arizona State Sun Devils on SI. And Arizona State is coming off of a triumphant 25-23 victory over the West Virginia Mountaineers on Saturday in Mountain America Stadium. It was a crazy battle. Very inexplicable. The Sun Devils led 22-10 in the fourth quarter. Two crazy, almost once in a year level plays happened. Explosives for West Virginia. The Sun Devils went down by 1 point. Ended up, Jeff Sims rallied the troops. They got in the field goal range. Jesus Gomez hit a game-winning 48-yard field goal, and Keith Abney secured an interception on West Virginia's final drive when they were fighting to get in position to kick a game-winning field goal of their own. So Arizona State still in the Big 12 picture. Hypothetically speaking, it's going to be a lot easier said than done if they want to get back to the Big 12 title game. They still have their work cut out for them, and it's very complicated, especially when there's multiple teams involved in a tie. Head to head gets thrown out when there's multiple teams in the tie breaker scenario. So, for example, if Arizona State, BYU, Utah, Houston are all tied with 2 losses, then it goes to a procedural tiebreaker where it's head to head. Not head to head. It's record against common opponents. It's strength of schedule. There's multiple steps that are in place to determine who is the number 2 team in the conference. Because Texas Tech is going to be the number 1 team in the conference. Their final game is against West Virginia. And although West Virginia is an improved team from what they were a month ago, I just do not see a world in which Texas Tech does not come out with a resounding victory. They just look like the best team in the conference. That's just point blank from me. But yeah, since the since the tiebreaker scenario gets very complicated in the event of multiple teams being tied, I'm going to talk about what Arizona State fans should be rooting for the rest of the way, and kind of breaking down the last 2 games of the Sun Devil season. So, obviously, Arizona State has to win their last 2 games of the season. Colorado on the road this Saturday, 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time kickoff. Second time Kenny Dillingham and Deion Sanders have faced off. Colorado is a fascinating team because their defense has really fallen off the rails in the last few weeks. Their defense was securing pretty strong outputs in the earliest part of the season. They completely shut down Iowa State in the second half of their game a month ago or month plus ago, but they got completely blasted by Utah, by Arizona. Gave up 300 rushing yards to West Virginia. So the defense there is a mess currently, and they are no longer eligible for a bowl. So we'll see how things develop there. But on the offensive side of the ball, they do have promise at quarterback finally in freshman Julian Lewis, who was a 5-star recruit in the 2025 class. He is finally taking the reins as a starting quarterback, and he was really the only source of offense for them in that loss to West Virginia. That's going to be a challenge for Arizona State because I don't think that Arizona State has faced a quarterback with as much raw talent as Julian Lewis has since probably Sawyer Robertson back in September. Julian Lewis is just natural passer, very strong instincts, very caught up in the speed of the game, even as a freshman. That's going to be a challenge for Arizona State, and I still think they should win. But as we've seen, they've won a lot of close games, and I wouldn't be shocked, especially on the road, that this is a more competitive game than it should be on paper. Uh, the game has to be played. I can't make any judgments until I see what product it gets on the field first quarter, 2 quarters of the game. So that's a wait and see. Ultimately, they should win and put themselves in a position to be playing for a spot in the Big 12 title game against Arizona. And Arizona is really where the challenge lies. Uh, can't look ahead too much, but Arizona State is looking to take the Territorial Cup home on a multi-year basis for the first time since 2019-2020. The 2021 game, the 38-15 win, does not count any longer. They did keep it in Tempe for that year, though, before it got vacated. So there was a 3-year period where they held it. There was a several-year period. They won in 2018 and 2017 as well. They had won 5 games in a row. And then Arizona won in 2022 and 2023. The Sun Devils won in 2024, 49-7. But this will not be a 49-7 game. I can tell you that. There has to be a perfect element of things that happen in succession of one another for Arizona State to blow Arizona out like this. This is a different Arizona team, even without Ted McMillan. Noah Fifita is playing the best he ever has in his career. I say even better than 2023. The Arizona defense has stepped up when called upon. They forced Brendan Sorsby into a very, very pedestrian game. They've had one of the best operating defenses in the Big 12 in recent weeks. And it's very, very arguable that they should have won the Houston game and they should have won the BYU game. They were in position to win both of those games. You could be looking at an Arizona team that is 9-1 right now without those two very, very narrow losses. So it's going to be a challenge in Tempe. Arizona's not really in the Big 12 title hunt right now, but they want to end Brent Brennan's second season on a high note. They want to flip the script from the disaster that was 2024. So Arizona State has to be ready. And in terms of the Big 12 title picture, like I said, things get very, very complicated when there's multiple teams tied within the standings. So above everything else, you need BYU to lose to Cincinnati this Saturday. The way Cincinnati's looked the last couple of weeks, it doesn't install much confidence in one to anticipate a Cincinnati victory. But Cincinnati is at home. Brendan Sorsby is one of the best quarterbacks in the conference still. And in the Big 12, anything is possible. I think that people were maybe jumping the gun a little bit on BYU potentially losing to TCU and Baylor potentially losing to Utah. Utah losing to Baylor. I know I thought that Baylor was a bad matchup for the Utah defense, and they were in most spots of the game. Sawyer Robertson threw for over 400 yards, but Utah just completely took over in the explosives game. They got some big stops when they needed to. Wasn't a close game. For purposes of simplicity, it would be nice to see either TCU or Baylor knock off Houston in the last 2 weeks of the season. It would be nice to see either Kansas or Kansas State knock off Utah. And it would be nice to see Texas Tech lose to UCF, but I don't think that's going to happen. And like I said, BYU... Wait, no. My bad. Texas Tech plays West Virginia in the last game of the season. They just played UCF. BYU plays UCF in the last game. So, your Big 12 title hopes might hinge on the BYU-Cincinnati game this Saturday. Pay close attention to that game. As for now, Arizona State should just focus on taking care of what's in front of them, and everything else will take care of itself. Sun Devils are looking to finish the regular season with 9 victories in spite of everything that's happened to them this season, and that would be an incredibly successful season in my mind, even if it didn't reach the heights that they were, even if they didn't reach the heights that they were expected to before the season. And that's really all I have for today. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to me for the last roughly 10 minutes. Your support means everything to me, and it keeps me going even when I'm not at peak form. And thank you so much, and I will see you with another episode tomorrow after Kenny Dillingham's Monday press conference. Thank you so much.